I'm Kyle McCormick. This is the first of a new segment called InFocus, where we'll interview experts here on campus. This week we're talking with Jack Citrin, Professor of Political Science. Professor Citrin has authored a number of books, including Public Opinion and Constitutional Controversy. He's also the director of the Institute of Governmental Studies. I spoke with Professor Citrin about American politics and the presidential race. Take a look. All right, Professor, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
We want to talk about politics, and what's been dominating the news lately is all of this stuff going on with the financial crisis, with the bailout bill that just failed in Congress. Only a third of Republicans voted for it, 60% of Democrats did. What do you see, just from a political sense, about what's going on in Congress right now?
It's pretty clear that it's highly unpopular with segments of the population on both left and the right. It's also not really understood by probably most people. There's a sense in which the leadership of the administration has painted a very dire picture of economic collapse should some version of this bailout not be passed. I think that certainly initially they didn't explain well what those dire consequences would be for ordinary people. So on the one hand, there's a balance between fear and anxiety on the one hand, and anger and resentment on the other.
So kind of feeding into that, have we seen, is it mostly a failure of leadership in Congress, or is it mostly these external political things going on, or is it both?
You know, when something fails, you can always get 15, 20 explanations for why. More general thing is that the administration is very unpopular and not trusted, so their appeals to Republicans to support the bill didn't go very far.
Both candidates have kind of taken up the theme of change. They say that they can change the way Washington works. Do you see anything specifically that they have proposed that's going to kind of structurally change the way Washington works, or that would really sort of end the partisanship and rancor that you mentioned before? I mean, is there anything to indicate that besides what just their rhetoric?
Only someone who's very naive would believe that there would be a major change in the way in which Washington works just through the election of either one of them. I think what they could change was a tone, would be a tone, and in some sense a tone of communicating and interacting with people from the other party. Just, you know, in terms of personal style, in terms of a willingness to listen, and in terms of a willingness to include people of the other party in discussions of administration policy, or even simply to invite them to social events and things of that kind. So I think there's some smoothing of the edges that could be done. I think that, frankly, it's more likely that that would happen if McCain were elected than Obama, because McCain would need it more. If Obama's president, he's going to have Democratic majorities in Congress, and he's not going to need as much help and cooperation from the Democrats as McCain would.
What effect, because Barack Obama is the first nominated African-American candidate, how big of an effect is race going to be in this election?
Barack Obama has been running a deracialized campaign, so deliberately trying to downplay that, as opposed to, say, Jesse Jackson. So you're asking how big. I can't answer you how big. Will it be a factor? Yes, I think it will be a factor. Will that factor be uniformly bad for Obama? I don't think so. I think on balance it may hurt him, because there are probably more racists out there who would vote against him than people who are going to say, well, it'd be really great to make a statement and have a black president of the United States, and you know, I feel close between the two, but that's going to be push me over to Obama. I think there are some people who feel that way.
All right, Professor Citrin, thanks so much for joining us today.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Great.
We'd like to thank Jack Citrin for speaking with us, and tune in next Friday for another segment of InFocus.